All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is hour 2 of tonight's show here on the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. Now, if you'd like to send me an email, it's very simple, xzone@classic1220.ca. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Gwilda Wiyaka, and Gwilda is a radio TV creator, producer, host, journalist, award-winning author, and singer-songwriter. She is also a shamanic practitioner, instructor, and founder and director of the Path Home Shamanic Arts School, formerly a Colorado State Certified Occupational School of the Shamanic Arts, for which she authored all the curriculum and text. She creates online video Galactic Shamanism Classes to promote personal empowerment and conducts workshops and seminars internationally. Gwilda is also a preceptor for the University of Colorado of Medicine, where she provides instruction to the medical doctors on the modern interface between shamanism and allopathic medicine. Gwilda is also the host of Mission Evolution, radio TV show, the creator and host of the Stairway to Heaven TV series, and her radio and TV shows are broadcast internationally through the X-Zone Broadcast Network and the X-Zone TV channel. Joining me now from the Rockies of Colorado is my good friend, Gwilda Wiyaka. And Gwilda, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight.
Rob, it's always a pleasure.
You know, this is a very important show, and people are going to ask themselves later on, what does it have to do with the paranormal? Well, there are times in life when we have to look at the greater cause and place importance where it belongs, especially when it is a topic, as you and I are going to be talking tonight here on the X-Zone. I produce Gwilda's show called Mission Evolution, X-Zone Nation, and she had Dr. Scott Kolbaba on, who's a medical doctor, her show this week. And it was all about the crisis of teen depression. This show, it was producing it, it's like, you've got to be kidding. The information that Dr. Kolbaba shared with Gwilda's audience had to be an eye-opener for several 100,000 people. So what I decided to do, I called up Gwilda and I asked her if she would come on tonight and share the information that we both learned from Dr. Kolbaba about teen suicide, teen bullying, and the amount of teen depression that is out there. It's come to the crisis level, X-Zone Nation. So joining me now is Gwilda Wiyaka. And Gwilda, that was a great show that you and Dr. Kolbaba did. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. He's such a wonderful human being, and it was wonderful working with him.
He certainly is. And what was your take home, or what did you take away from having the opportunity of sharing your time with Dr. Kolbaba in such a very important topic?
Well, for one, the man's commitment to being of service to the world is phenomenal. And he's a father of 7 children himself. And just sounds like a father you'd like to have, right? But the information that he was sharing and the solutions that he was proposing was just groundbreaking. And the information is terrifying. The fact that so many of our teens are suffering from horrible depression, and so many of them are killing themselves.
Well, let me ask you this, Gwilda. How significant is the problem of teen depression and suicide in the U.S. these days?
Well, in 2012, the depression rate in adolescents started drastically rising. And today, 22% of our teens are suffering from depression, which is double the rate found in adults. In 2023, suicide was the second leading cause of death for individuals aged 5 to 24 years in the United States.
That's a lot.
That's
That
huge.
is way too much.
That's huge. And it's climbing like crazy.
In my opinion, and I'm sure in yours, Gwilda, one is too much. And it's up to us, society, to see what we can do to turn those numbers back way down and solve the issues that are causing teen depression. Now, as a shamanic practitioner, what do you see as the underlying problems causing the drastic rise in teens' suicides?
I would say disconnection. We have, as a culture, disconnected from the earth, disconnected from each other. We're tuned into electronics. Both parents are working. Nobody's around. People are comparing, the children are comparing what their lives are like to social media and to what is portrayed on advertisements and this and that. We've just lost contact with reality, and our children are suffering and dying because of it.
Now, what role does the internet, social media, and electronic devices play in teen depression, according to your interview with Dr. Kolbaba?
Well, according to my interview with Dr. Kolbaba, he says that, and he really leans heavily on particularly the social media, that what's portrayed there, kids are totally absorbed in it, right?
Yeah.
But everybody is portraying their best, their happy, joy, families, vacations, and these very carefully made up pictures of themselves, and they're putting out personas that aren't real, really, and they're certainly not balanced or a good representation. And then they look at that and they go, oh, that's not what my life is like. And then they compare how many likes they're getting as opposed to what they think everybody else is getting, and suddenly their life is wrapped up around, and their self-worth is wrapped around this artificial media. And and then they're separated. They don't see each other face to face. So nastiness can easily be said to each other when you wouldn't say it to someone's face. And so it's really not serving the kids at all.
And yet, it seems that the parents are oblivious to what is actually going on the internet, on the social media platforms. And if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Kolbaba said there was a spiking of the depression and suicide rates in teenage girls because of COVID.
He did, and I did some research on that, and what he said was absolutely true. It is teenagers across the board, but particularly girls, because by the time COVID hit, they're isolated, and the only outlet they do have is this artificial media. And they aren't seeing each other face to face, and pretty soon they're looking in the mirror, and it doesn't look like what they're seeing online. But there's another side of that story. Would you like me to share that?
I would, yes, please.
Okay. Now this is located in Texas, in the United States. But according to a new study done by the University of Texas Houston School of Public Health, rates of suicide and suicide attempts among teenagers were at their lowest when schools were closed for COVID-19 pandemic. This indicates an overall pattern that shows mental health in children and teenagers is at its worst while school is in session. Now, I found that particularly interesting because other studies had said that the suicide rate follows the school calendar. There's fewer during the summer, more during the winter. Now, of course, studies are only as good as the conclusions we draw from them.
That's right. And who's doing the study and for what reasons they're doing it.
Exactly. So there's mixed messages about it out there, but certainly overall in the United States, he was absolutely right that the suicide rate really skyrocketed since 2019.
By the way, Exo Nation, if you'd like to visit Dr. Kolbaba's website, it's clairsmagicgardenbook.com. That's clairsmagicgardenbook.com. As a shamanic practitioner, where do you stand on medicating teens with antidepressant drugs? Now, Dr. Kolbaba said that he agrees on it, if it's warranted. And he related a story to us during your interview, where he was called into the emergency department as a psychiatrist because he's not only a practicing MD, but he's also a psychiatrist. And as he approached the room, he heard this person crying uncontrollably. And then when he opened the door, he walked in. There was a mother who was crying, holding the hand of a 13-year-old daughter who had overdosed on her pills. Man. And he said that's when he knew he had to do something.
That was certainly a turning point in his life, yeah.
His and mine when I heard that.
Oh, yeah. And his description. I think he was there as an internist because they actually saved her life, physically saved her life. But he says she was saved, but he was not. And so he felt he really had to do something. He teamed up with his son, and they wrote Claire's Magic Garden, and it's a children's book discussing how to move beyond depression. And they've been trying to put that out and put out the alternatives, which he had some pretty interesting ones. So, but yeah, that floored me. That story just broke my heart.
But let me get back to the question and I'm sorry that I skewed off it. As a shamanic practitioner, where do you stand on medicating teens with antidepressive drugs?
Okay, as a shamanic practitioner that's operating in this society, in this day and age versus traditional, we're in some cases we're well beyond what herbs and spiritual healing can do, because for those to work, the person has to have enough substance going for them. They can't be so far down and their brain chemistry so far off that they just can't rally. And so in those cases, for temporarily putting people on those psychotropic drugs, I think is a good recourse. But then following it up with counseling, and of course, if you got a drumstick, everything looks like a drum. But I believe that spiritual healing, counseling, and then the other alternatives of helping the person find something to live for,
exactly,
is absolutely paramount. But there's times when I absolutely say, hey, you need to go see a psychiatrist and possibly consider getting on some drugs before what we can do together can be processed or used.
And it's my personal belief that mom and dad have to become more involved in what their kids are doing online.
Yes, I mean, even parents that try to be, they little rascals will find a way around it because it's so much a part of the culture at this point.
Gwilda, stand by. We've got to take our first break. Exonation, Gwilda Wiyaka is our special guest. Her website is www.findyourpathhome.com, and her radio show is www.missionevolution.org. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, and we're coming to you on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. And if you'd like to send me an email, I'd love to hear your comments. I love your email, xzone@classic1220.ca. Gwilda and I will return on the other side of this very short break, so whatever you do, don't go away.
There's a girl in school that I adore. She's a cute little girl, 5'4". She's got a personality, the talk of the town. She sits 3 rows over and 2 seats down.
Welcome back, everyone. Gwilda Wiyaka is my special guest of this hour. We're talking about depression and teen suicide. Gwilda had Dr. Scott Kolbaba on her show this week, and he is a medical doctor. And he and his son have written a great book. It's called Claire's Magic Garden. It's available online at www.clairesmagicgardenbook.com. When we look at what is happening on the internet today, we had bullying in school when I was a kid. All we needed to have with us in case we needed to contact home for an emergency was something called a dime that you put in something called a payphone, which you could not bring into class because it was usually screwed to a wall somewhere. And no, you couldn't use it as a calculator because all it did was take your money. And yet today, school systems in the United Kingdom and in the province of Quebec are saying, no, 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 no. No cell phones in school. And personally, I think this is a great idea because, number one, I will bet you, Gwilda, that cyberbullying goes down, and marks will go up.
We can hope, yes, because the cell phones are like, oh, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel kind of lost without mine sometimes anymore. And I'm not an electronics kind of person, but yeah, they're just totally distracted by these, and then they're got these texts going back and forth with each other, probably making fun of somebody in the same classroom that they're sitting in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I have a cell phone, but I only use it when I'm not at home and I'm out traveling around. We go to get in the car and Laura will say, "Do you have your cell phone?" I said, "Why? You're right beside me." You know, like our kids come to our home, our grandchildren, and they have to leave their cell phones by the front door in a basket that we have there. You're coming to see us. You're not coming to play with your cell phones. And have you ever noticed in the restaurants today that families, a mom and a dad and 3 or 4 kids, they don't talk anymore. They're on their cell phones. They're texting. They're playing games. Dad's checking the stock market. Mom's looking at recipes. And then the dumbest thing, in my opinion, happens. The food comes and they all take pictures of the food. Like, what is going on with society? Well, we know for a fact that suicides are up because of depression, and the depression is being caused by cyberbullying on the internet and on cell phones. There has to be some checks and balances put in place, Gwilda. And as an educator yourself and as a preceptor to the medical community, how do you look at this problem that we're seeing that has been with us ever since cell phones have been available?
Well, it's a multifaceted problem, really. And one of the large problems I see going on today, and this is something that Dr. Kolbaba also brought up, is that we're being fed entertainment. We're being fed ideas about how we should look. We're being fed all these things. And basically what's languishing as a result is imagination, creativity, personal identity, feeling valued. All of those things are going by the wayside. And if a person can't access their imagination and creativity, why be here?
Well, you know what? We really just can't point our finger at the cell phones, because prior to cell phones, you had the teen and glamour magazines. And then, and then on television, you had the stereotypical American Canadian family where Leave It to Beaver. Ward worked outside the house and Mrs. June Cleaver worked inside the house. I always wearing a dress, always perfectly made up. And the kids would go to school and they'd come home, and at supper time, everybody would find out what trouble Beaver got into during the day. But families used to communicate. And how much of the non-communication, the exchange between mom and dad and your siblings at supper time or in the home, what kind of effect does this have on the family unit, as well as the children who are now being subjected to the curse of the internet?
I think it's devastating, quite frankly. There's, like I said, there's so many things that play into this, depression and suicide, but there's no replacement for one-on-one time with people that love you and hearing that they supporting you and helping you figure out what your gifts are and encouraging you in that direction. And these are the things that are lacking anymore, because here's a cell phone. I'll buy you another, electronic toy. Go sit in front of the television set.
Electronic
I'm tired.
babysitting.
I've worked all day to pay for these things.
Right.
That's pretty much where our families have gotten to.
How would you, as a shamanic practitioner, approach working on a depressed or suicidal teen?
Well, of course, the first thing I do is make sure they had the backup and support of, the medical profession, psychiatric profession, and that sort of thing. But then within that, there's a thing called soul loss, where a person, not just a child, but a person starts to disconnect from different aspects of their expression through damage or trauma or whatever. And just living in the society the way it is right now is pretty traumatic. And so I would start working with pulling those parts of them back and working with them on that. But the other thing that I think just would really be wonderful, and I've worked with children with this before, and it's had a huge effect, is teaching them how to do what we call the shamanic journey, which is a journey trance. But what it does is it engages your imagination and it engages your creativity, and gives you access to information that you wouldn't have access to otherwise without using electronics. So getting back into those kind of traditional old ways of accessing your passion, accessing your creativity, and becoming involved and creating new things, and finding ways you can help people through that are the directions that I would go with the kids.
Something that Dr. Kolbaba said that made a lot of sense is that children as well as grown-ups need to have something to look forward to when they get up in the morning. Something that they need to do. Something that gives them the reason to get up in the morning. Duh. That, it's
figure,
so
right?
it's so simple.
Right. And what he proposed, and I think it's so true, is help a person find what their passion is. Because the schools, and this is, I think, part of why we're having the problem with all the pressure at school, but also because they're trying to educate so many people, it's just this cookie cutter thing. It leaves no space for the individual and their individual gifts that don't fit within that cookie cutter. And I think that's devastating our youth.
He was also talking about the Montessori method.
Yeah, I brought that up, and he was definitely behind it. Yeah.
Could you explain to our listeners what that system is and why you, as not only a shamanic practitioner, but as a mom, favored it? Now,
I didn't get to put my children in Montessori school, but
Right.
then I also taught them in that way out of school. But what the thing behind the Montessori schools is they get the basics to them, but they have all these different creative outlets in a classroom, okay? And then just turn the kids loose to go where they want to go and do what they want to do within that. And watch what they're drawn to, watch where they go, watch what they're doing, make notes, and then encourage that and bring more things to the fore that would engage them with the things that they have a passion for. Because there's one thing shamanically, all shamans know, is your purpose follows your passion. Okay, and that was the one thing that Dr. Kolbaba is really big on, is you've got to find your purpose, you've got to find your passion, and you've got to be of service to others. And that pulls people out of depression more than anything else.
It made so much sense, and it wasn't brain surgery.
No, it was so
It
simple,
was
like you say.
common sense.
Yeah.
And I think that in today's society, we're losing a lot of the common sense that we once knew and valued, and we saw a lot of it in the family unit. I understand that in today's economy that it takes mom and dad both going out to try and make ends meet, and God bless them for doing that. But you can't neglect your children. You can't just sit them down in front of a TV or a computer or give them a cell phone and let them go wild on it. They have to be, in my opinion, they have to be monitored. And here's something, mom and dads out there, if you don't already know this, they need to be loved. Children need to be loved. Children need to be held. Children need to be cuddled. And they need to they need to know that mom and dad really care. And sometimes children will do something just to tick you off to see if you really do care. You know, it's simple. We need to get back to basics, Gwilda.
I so agree. And of course, shamanism is
Hmm.
earth-based and tribal-based, and there's a lot of values there that we've lost, and I think that's what we're seeing. This is the result.
We have one of our grandsons who came to the house over the Christmas holidays, and he saw Laura writing Christmas cards. And he said, "Grandma, what are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I'm writing Christmas cards. Can you teach me how to write?"
Mm-hmm.
They don't teach writing in schools anymore.
No, it's going to be one of our greatest codes. The old people can communicate, and the young ones don't even know what's going on.
So once
Yeah.
again, I think we need to get back to basics. And here's where I'm really going to put my foot in my mouth. I think we need to get discipline and respect back into the schools. Instead of calling the teacher by their first name, it's Mr. or Mrs. I believe in a dress code because that puts everybody on equal grounds. When I was going to school, no, not the time I went to with Fred and Barney, we wore white shirts, we had to wear a tie, we all wore gray flannels and black shoes. The girls had a dress code as well. What this did was you didn't have people who were feeling that they were less than one of the great guys in the groove because he wasn't wearing, $200-300 pair of Nikes because his parents couldn't afford it. It put everybody on the same level, and I wish to heavens that the schools would get back to that today. Gwilda, stand by. We'll be back as the X Zone continues right here on Classic 1220 and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
There he sits with a pen and a yellow pad. What a handsome lad. That's my boy. BRLFQ spells mom and dad. Well, that ain't too bad. 'Cause that's my
And welcome back to the X Zone. That was Bobby Goldsboro singing Watching Scotty Grow. And prior to that, we also had Bobby Curtola singing three Chairs Down. And I had the great privilege of working with Bobby on a couple of projects up here in Ontario. And I'll tell you something, he was Canada's first rock and roll icon. And I dearly miss my good friend who last lived in Red Deer, Alberta. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. You're listening to us on 1220 and streamed around the world on 1220.ca. We're talking about teen depression and suicide. Gwilda Wiyaka, who is my guest this hour, has a very popular show entitled Mission Evolution. And on her show last week that I produced was Dr. Scott Kolbaba, a fantastic doctor. He's an MD, a more caring doctor I have never heard or I have never had the pleasure of meeting before. And we were talking about a new book that Dr. Kolbaba and his son have written called Claire's Magic Garden. The website explanation is clairesmagicgardenbook.com. The information that Dr. Kolbaba related during his interview with Gwilda, and if you'd like to listen to the interview, all you need to do is go to missionevolution.org. It was an eye-opener. You can think that there's something wrong with society. You can think that the internet, social media are having a negative effect on people. But when you hear it from a bona fide doctor who is telling you point blank, this is a problem. We are at a crisis point because of the cyberbullying, because of the depression that is caused by photos of people who Photoshop their photos. They're making people feel insignificant. They're making people feel as if they have something to hide, that they're not good enough as human beings. I would like you to do me a favor, Exonation. Go to clairsmagicgardenbook.com, number one, and then go to www.missionevolution.org and scroll down to listen to Dr. Cole Bava's interview with Gwilda that was recorded just this past week. And this is why I thought it was so important that we get Gwilda on to talk about this interview that she did. I know it doesn't have anything to do with UFOs. I know it doesn't have anything to do with Bigfoot, ghosts, ancient mysteries, but what it does have something to do with, Exonation, is people. People. And we need to put people back where they belong. And in my book, that is at the center of what we do, what we think, and how we can help each other. Help each other to grow. Help each other to be safe. Help each other to understand the world. Help each other to love each other. This isn't a hippie love fest. Far from it. What this is a person who's been in the media for 34 years. I have 15 grandchildren with my wife Laura. We have 2 great-grandchildren. And if I can't be part of the solution, that means I'm part of the problem. And all my life, Exonation, I've tried to be part of a solution one way or another. Whether it was my career in law enforcement or whether it's my broadcasting career. We need to be solution-based. There's so many problems out there that it's about time that you and I, Gwilda, Larry Lawson, who does another show on our network, my good friend Chuck LaFleur, who's the news director and sports director here at CFAJ, your Classic 1220, Pete Dichter, another great broadcaster who's with us here on Classic 1220, and the other great people that I have the opportunity of working with now and then. We all have a part of the solution in our pockets. And I will relate to you an analogy that I use when I'm talking about the paranormal, ghost, UFOs, past lives, and so on. We each hold a piece of the puzzle to life's most perplexing mysteries in our pocket. And all we need to do, Exonation, is get around that big table, put our pieces of our puzzle that we have in our pocket on that table, and work with everyone on that table to put the puzzle together. We need to do that now more than ever. We have children, teens in crisis situations that has never been heard of before in our history. We have high unemployment. We have high homelessness. Is this what humanity's turning into? And then we kind of say, well, geez, we also have these visitors from outer space who are coming here. And my question is, why? Why would any intelligent species from another planet want to come to this planet after taking a look and seeing what we're doing to each other? I swear to God, Exonation, there is a big sign on the far side of the moon that says, Earth ahead, turn back now. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And whoever you are listening to us tonight here on the X Zone, on Classic 1220, and on the X Zone Broadcast Network, we all can be part of the solution. We just have to make it happen. We just have to will it. We just have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm going to do something positive. I'm going to be part of the solution. I don't want to be part of the problem anymore. Gwilda, you've known me for a number of years, and I will use this analogy that I've used so many times over the years, that at Christmas time, which is just past us, we all dig deeper into our pockets to give money to the Salvation Army or to go to the food bank and give food. You know what? This is something we need to do all year round, folks. Because these problems don't go away on December the 26th. They're there, 7/24, 365. So when I hear somebody like Dr. Kolbaba, who I've had the opportunity of interviewing myself, talk to my friend Gwilda and describe a crisis situation with teen depression and suicide, the teens of today are the leaders of tomorrow, gang. We need to take affirmative action. We need to do something to change this. Not years down the road. We don't need a congressional hearing about, well, how are we going to stop this crisis of kids being depressed and kids committing suicide? No, fine. Keep that for the UFOs. I don't care. We need to solve it now. It starts at home. It starts with mom and dad. Mom and dad, I know you're doing your very, very best, and God bless you for it. I know you're working hard. You're doing your best to make ends meet in this financial mess that we call society. But we need to also take care of the next generation that is going to be there for us, and take care of us, and take care of our country, and everything we've worked so hard for. Children are the leaders of tomorrow. We need them. And you know what, Exo Nation? They need us. They need to know that they have people who love them, who understand them, who will be there for them, and when necessary, give them tough love. So please, just open up your hearts. Open up your hearts. Take a look around you. And if you're a mom and dad, after this show tonight, tiptoe into the bedroom and take a look at your treasure called a child. Lean over them, give them a little kiss, and say, I love you. I don't know what else to say. Gwilda, how did I do?
You did great. You did great, Rob. I loved what you had to say about the puzzle pieces, because that is one of the things that Dr. Kolbaba brought up, is that each of us has a place in that puzzle, but we can't find that place if we're being cookie cuttered and we don't find our passion and follow that, because that's what we have to bring to the table.
You know, whether we're talking about ghosts, whether we're talking about near-death experience, whether we're talking about UFOs, anything within the paranormal, parapsychology, New Age medicine, and so on, it all boils down to people. It all boils down to people. And belief is the strongest power in the universe, Exo Nation. My wife has a saying that she has taught our children. If you confess it, you will possess it. To me, that's a mantra. And I'm sure to you listening who are saying, oh, yeah, I say that to my kids. It's a mantra. And what that is, it's a reinforcement of a statement that enforces the idea that you have. If you confess it, you will possess it. Positive reinforcement is another word for it. We need to look at society, in my opinion, Exo Nation, and what is going on in the world, and say, how can I best help? What can I do to be part of the solution of the problem? Am I my brother's keeper? Oh, you better believe you are. Because whether you are white, black, yellow, pink, purple, whatever color your skin is, underneath, Exo Nation, we're all alike. We all have a heart. We all laugh. We all cry. We all get hungry. We all love. And the realistic part of it is we all die. So let's all work together and take a good look at what is happening right under our noses and see how we can make a better life and a better world just by what we know what to do. How can we best help our fellow man? How can we best help the children? How can we best help our neighbors? And how can we best help ourselves? I'll be back on the other side of this break with Gwilda Wiyaka as the X Zone continues and wraps up this hour here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, pro con of what we're saying tonight, it's very simple, xzone at classic1220. And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour is my good friend Gwilda Wiyaka, who has her own radio show, TV show, on the X Zone Broadcast Network and on X Zone TV channel, Mission Evolution, and she also does Stairway to Heaven. Great shows. And Gwilda, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate the work that you do, and I really appreciate the idea that I can call you my friend.
Oh, thank you, Rob. I always love working with you, and I love what you bring to the world.
Oh, thanks, Gwil. Why did you decide to become a shaman? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Well, when I was young, like the kids that are having trouble today, I was having trouble. I was very, very sensitive, and I could feel everything that everybody was feeling around me, and pretty soon I got to where I wasn't, I was failing, I was just going down. And I ran across, as life will do, a Lakota elder that I studied under. And it was probably saved me. Absolutely. I believe it did. And so I continued to study the form from the time I was 22. And I won't tell you how old I am now, but I've got, close to 50 years under my belt. So that's how I got started.
Well, you know what? Craig left me a note, and he said, if Gwilda doesn't say how old she is 32. Okay. So there you go. The secret's out. What changes have you seen in shamanism over the years?
Well, the old forms don't change much at all because they hold a tradition, and each tradition is around its particular tribe or community or nationality, and but the rebirth of shamanism in a modern society is coming in through people that are trying to learn the form and bring the healing modality and the form into our modern times. And it's much needed right now, because it's these very problems that we're talking about is because we get fragmented and we lose track of ourselves, and shamanism can help mend that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Gwilda, that a shaman, it was the person that was the focal point of the tribe, the elder with the knowledge that would be spread within the community. Am I correct?
To a certain extent, they actually focused the spiritual health of the tribe. They focused the ceremonies of the tribe. They also did healings for the tribe. So they were the central in that regard. But the elders in general in the tribes were highly regarded and very active way into their late years, bringing the knowledge of a lifetime to the young ones. And I think that's part of what's missing today.
Big time, because I know for a fact that the First Nations here in Canada, as well as the First Nations in the United States, the elders would pass on the stories that they had heard for generations to the younger members of the tribe or the members of their society. And it seems that we've lost that in the Western civilized world.
We have, to our great detriment, because the children feel isolated and alone, and they're the only ones that have suffered so. And when we had the elders and we'd sit around the fire or sit around the fireplace, or, and share experiences where, somebody else has gone through that, and this is how they found their way through it. or stories that were metaphorical that involved animals and the powers that the animals had and how you could take that power on for yourself to get you through difficult times. There was all sorts of support in that, and it's just missing now.
As a shaman, as a shamanic teacher, as a precept to one of the most prestigious medical universities in the United States in Colorado, how do you see that shamanism can work into making society better, not only for children, but for adults?
By bringing us back to what's real. Shamanism is earth-based. It involves an altered state of consciousness that puts you into like a dream state, whereby you can access your creativity, you can access your imagination, you can access solutions to problems that you might not have thought of. All of that's in the practice, and then the reverence for the earth and for the people on it. There's a beautiful thing that just almost all shamanic societies believed in one form or another, and that's if one member of the tribe is sick, the entire tribe is sick.
Wow.
Okay, and so they would look for the problem that the one member is expressing throughout the entire structure of the tribe, and that's what we're missing as well.
Gwilda, I know that you're in touch with members of many First Nations tribes. How do they see what is going on in the world today?
They despair. But at the same time, a lot of their prophecies say that during these times when everything is falling apart, that the nations then will be called upon to bring the way back. And that's the way that we're talking about, the reverence for the earth and for each other. That's in so many prophecies from so many different tribes and so many different nationalities. And I personally believe that's going to be the case, that is going to be our saving grace, is to bring some of those values back. We can't go back to the old ways. There's too many of us to live in tents, okay?
Yes.
Although some of us try.
Oh, yeah, just look across the street from 7 Gale Crescent, you know.
Exactly, yeah. But I do believe that the blending of the old and the new is absolutely necessary for tomorrow, to bring those values back, to bring the old healing modalities back, because we have fragmented as a society and as individuals, and we can't pull ourselves together. Our children are suffering. Everything in our society is on the edge of crumble because we are not coherent anymore.
Gwilda, in my opinion, the elders of the First Nations in the United States and Canada know what is going to happen. They have been the soothsayers for the millennium, and their target rate is really great. They're usually 100% dead on.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yes and no. Yes and no. When you talk to the elders, what do they say? Is it too late?
It's too late for a lot of things, and a lot of things need to die, is basically what they're saying. That the society, one of the things it's called is Watiko, which is a virus, an illness that creates greed and narcissism. It's been talked about for generations. Every indigenous tribe has their idea of Watiko,
right,
which is what we are living. We are living it, and we need to. They see us as all sick, and we need to heal from that sickness. And that, that they all have that in common. Another thing that I've seen is different ones. I worked with Blue Thunder when he was doing his medicine wheel around the country, doing ceremony at different places, trying to bring the way back through the people that are here. I mean, Blue Thunder, he's not with us anymore, but he was working with the white people to bring ceremony to different spots and have us all do ceremony at the same time, but all over the United States. And I saw a great effect. When he first did it, it was to calm down Yellowstone, because it was getting ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. And so, you can't say if it worked or if it didn't work, but Yellowstone's still there,
Well, I think then it worked.
Yeah. It's just, there's just some really beautiful people bringing the indigenous ways, but being willing to share their ways with their white brothers and sisters and their black brothers and sisters.
I have to ask you, why are they called indigenous? They are First Nations. We came here second. They were here first.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
it's boggled my imagination that the way that history has portrayed their reality on how things really happened.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Well, they say history's written by the winner of the war,
exactly. One quick question for you, my dear, because we have about 3 minutes left. What is soul retrieval, and how can it help with depression?
Soul retrieval is spiritual healing that's common to every shamanic culture, and every culture in the world has shamanism at its base. And it's a spiritual healing or an energetic healing. I don't mean like religion. It's an energetic healing that corrects imbalances in person, place, or thing. And if there's one thing we're looking at, it's gross imbalances. But in the individual, to deal with depression, if a person can become more whole, they can access their creativity, they can access their imagination, they can access their passion, they can access their purpose. And that gives them something to get up in the morning. And soul retrieval helps bring a person back together, bring them back to themselves.
Explanation. Tonight we've been talking about Dr. Scott Cole Baba's book entitled Claire's Magic Garden. The website is clairesmagicgarden.com. It's a great book. We've been talking about depression, suicide, and the crisis that we're in. And my good friend, Gwilda Wiyaka, has been our guest this hour. Gwilda, final thoughts for the Exo Nation.
Final thoughts is we can make the future better. We can take what we have right now, and although we all seem to be despairing about it, and I am too, but the darkest hour, as they say, is right before the dawn. And if each of us takes our piece to that puzzle and puts it on the table, we can turn this around and create something beautiful.
Oh, geez, I like that idea about the puzzle piece. Can I use it?
Oh, maybe in the third segment, huh?
Gwilda, I want to thank you so much for a number of things. Number one, for the great work you do. Number two, for the great shows you do. And number three, for always trying to be a part of the solution to the many problems that we see in this world today. So thank you for that.
Rob, thank you for all the same things.
So what's next with you on, let me see, we've got about 30 seconds. Mission Evolution, quickly. Or do you want to talk about your courses?
The two upcoming, I'm going to be talking about Tibetan monks, the ones that are the oldest Tibetan religion. And then we're going to be talking about food addiction and solutions for that.
Food addiction, 967-1111. Call pizza, hey.
No more for you.
There is nothing better than taking a piece of pizza that has cheese, that has Brooklyn pepperoni, that has onions, I'm making myself hungry and I shouldn't do that. Gwilda, thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to you. Continued success, and thank you for doing what you do.
And thank you for doing what you do, Rob.
All right, Exo Nation, I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue. No, this is the final hour of tonight. Wow, where did time go? The Exxon, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the Exxon comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. That's right, on Classic 1220 and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. I'll be back. Don't go away.